Hello and welcome back again to the News Project Live on GNAT-TV's Facebook page. I'm Andrew McKeever, the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today on Friday, October 22nd. Another busy news week we had just like last week, so we'll get right to it. And I guess the lead story of this week would be the opening of Founders Hall at Burn Academy. It's a 25,000 square foot building that's been under construction since, I believe, May of 2020. Behind the main seminary and Roland Center buildings there on the campus, it sort of sits at the back of what used to be a parking lot that is now a courtyard area. Um, excuse me. So on Tuesday, the building saw its formal opening and ribbon cutting ceremony, and the building will house the school's English and Social Studies departments. It'll also be where the school's library is located. There's also going to be a maker space in there. And the top level of the building will be a conference area and meeting space. And if you haven't been up there already to have a look, it's worth it just for the view. It certainly looks out over the valley off to the east there. It's really quite a striking view. So that is finally open after more than a year of work and construction. The building is a result of a $20 million philanthropic gift from Barry and Wendy Rowland, who have also been large contributors to the school in the past. Obviously, the Rowland Center, named after them. They've also been very generous donors to the school over the years, and this is one more piece of their legacy towards the school. So anyway, we also have a excuse me segment on GNAT TV's website, and also will be on our television channels about the opening. You can hear some of the speeches that were made and the first day, or the first few moments of the school's new building in operation. That would be on gnat-tv.org, and you'll also be able to watch it on one of our three channels. Well, I'm thinking about it. If you want, as we go along, check out our comments section. In there, you will find links to other stories that will give you more information about some of the news items I'm talking about here right now. Anyway, the other kind of big event that we kind of were looking at this week was a job fair in Bennington, held down by the state office complex there, just off of, I guess it would be North Street, on Wednesday, October 20th. It was actually the first of two back-to-back job fairs that the Labor Department, in collaboration with Creative Workforce Solutions and Voc Rehab Vermont and the Southwestern Vermont Chamber of Commerce, put together. The second one was planned for Rutland. That would have been yesterday, on Thursday. Understand that between the two events, there were more than 55 employers and nearly 200 job seekers showing up. The Bennington event attracted about 100 job seekers. Rutland, I guess, had not quite as good a day weather-wise as Wednesday was down in Bennington. Got 70 job seekers there. So they obviously were designed to bring together employers and employees. As we all know by this point, many employers are struggling to fill positions in certain kinds of jobs, and it sounds like really from the conversations I had when I was down there, really kind of covers the spectrum. It's not just hospitality and restaurants and bars and taverns, places like that, but also manufacturing and really all kinds of businesses struggling to kind of find qualified workers. So it's not the case just here in Vermont. It's obviously a situation that's obtaining across the entire country in the wake of the COVID pandemic and how that kind of disrupted the whole pattern of things up to that point. A lot of workers now are expressing concerns about childcare, exposure to COVID infections, housing availability is another big issue, salary levels. Going back to work for a minimum wage job, which doesn't really hold out a whole lot of upward growth in a career trajectory. Not quite as appealing as it might have been at some point in the past. So it's a whole different ballgame out there right now, and these job fairs were designed to kind of just try and bring folks together and hopefully that will have been the case. I understand there are actually opportunities for some folks there on Wednesday to get a job right in the spot, and certainly all the employers or would-be employers that I talked to were very eager to meet up with some new potential employees. The Labor Department also has online job fairs that they offer. And if you missed one of those two this week, you can go to labor.vermont.gov /jobs and learn more about it. We will have a segment about the job fair ready by sometime next week. And also, you might want to, if you want to kind of dive into it in a bit more depth, there's a really interesting interview that we recorded last week between Wendy Morse, who is the I guess, regional manager for Bennington and Rutland counties for the Labor Department, and also with Matt Barowitz, who is the Labor Department's economist. We had a conversation with them that is now also on our website that kind of like I said, goes into a little more depth on this whole question. Very interesting conversation. Well worth watching if you're kind of interested in this situation. Otherwise, on Wednesday, October 20th, Londonderry's delayed vote on whether or not to allow for legal cannabis retailing in town was held. As you may recall, it was originally supposed to happen on September 17th, but it had to be delayed because there was a mix-up on the posting requirements. And by the time they sorted that out, it was too late to hold the vote. But it got done this Wednesday, the 20th, and voters did say yes to allowing cannabis retailers in Londonderry by a 116 to 82 margin. They also allowed what are known as integrated licensees by 108 to 87 vote margin. You might be wondering, what are integrated licensees? There's basically several different license types that go into being involved in the cannabis business. You can be a retailer, a cultivator, a product manufacturer, a wholesaler, run a lab, and you need to get a license in each one of those areas. Let's say if you want to be a retailer and you're going to supply your own product, you also need to get a cultivator's license. So that's basically what in the short form. I'm sure there's much more we could talk about with that, but we'll leave it at that. Basically, you need to get a license in each area. So that passed, but the third article on the warning did not pass. That would have created a 1% local option tax in Londonderry. The argument for that was that it would be a way for the town to capture some of the revenue that might presumably be flowing into the town from the cannabis sales. It would also apply to existing bricks and mortar businesses, and also to whatever online sales might fall under its purview. But voters there said no, don't want that. So whether or not that comes back for a revisit later on, we'll just sort of wait and see. But for the moment, next year, I believe, I'm not sure if I think it's October of 2022. Somebody who wants to set up a cannabis business in Londonderry is good to go. Turning to our COVID update, next, the health department in Vermont is reporting 224 new cases reported today, so that would have been occurring yesterday. Currently, there are 47 Vermonters in the hospital. 10 of them, 10 are in the ICU. That also takes a death total up to 351 Vermonters we have lost since the start of the pandemic in March of 2020. Locally in Bennington County, we have 29 new cases, 29 of those 224 coming from Bennington County, gives us 218 over the past 2 weeks. In Windham County, 18 of the cases are new ones, and 197 cases over the past 2 weeks. Up in Rutland County, the numbers are 15 new cases and 289 over the past 2 weeks. The 224 number for cases being reported today is an improvement over what was reported yesterday. That would have been 318 cases. And as all of us who have been sort of following this know, we've seen a real upsurge in the number of cases over the past couple of weeks, including some of the highest totals ever since the start of the pandemic. That number yesterday, the 318 figure, was the highest in the past 5 days, and had given us a 7-day average up to today of 228 cases per day. So while the hospitalizations have dropped a little bit, we're still not quite, I think, in a position to say, well, we've turned the corner on this latest upsurge. The number's still very uncomfortably high. On a related note, boosters for the Moderna and J&J vaccines are now available. The state has announced this morning that the CDC has approved the use of additional vaccines for people 18 years of age and older, and that the state will be soon offering an opportunity to choose different booster brands than the initial vaccine. So if you got a Moderna vaccine, for instance, back earlier this year, you might be able to get a Pfizer one for a booster. But Governor Phil Scott and the Department of Health today announced that effective Friday today, the state is going to be expanding its COVID-19 booster shot program to include the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. And starting tomorrow through pharmacies or your healthcare provider, or starting on November 1st through the state registration program, Vermonters 18 and older can choose a booster vaccine that's a different brand from the one they initially received. Booster doses are now available throughout the state. Supplies are already in hand. More are already ordered and being prepared for shipment to Vermont over the next 7 weeks, the state is reporting. And I guess just to drill down to that a little bit, boosters are going to be free and widely available to everyone over 18 and older. If you got a Johnson & Johnson vaccine initially, you received your initial vaccine at least 2 months ago and are 18 and older, you can sign up for that on the state's website. You can schedule your appointment there. If you initially got a Moderna or Pfizer vaccine and you received your second dose at least 6 months ago, and you're either 65 or older, 18 or older with certain medical conditions, or 18 or older and work in a high-risk setting, and 18 or older and are Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, or otherwise a member of the BIPOC community, or 18 or older and live with someone who is a BIPOC community member, you are now eligible for the booster shots. So we will leave it there for now. Once again, thank you very much for being with us. I'm Andrew McKeever. I'm the news director at GNAT-TV's News Project. Always great to have you with us, and we will be taking next Friday off from our little News Project Live update, but we'll be back the following Friday in November to bring whatever's going on at that point your way. It reminds me that November 2nd is election day, but I don't think there's any statewide election going on here like there is in Virginia and New Jersey. Anyway, all right. See you later. Have a great weekend. Take care.